Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. We are from Group 15 and we're going to do some forum discussing about HIBAH as a way of Islamic wealth management. But before we further our discussion about the topic given, I would like to introduce my team members and myself. As for myself, my name is Nasrul Nazhan, and for my team member, we have Setiyawan Saptari, Hadi Rashdan, Rahim, Noor Afiq, and Adib Ziqri. Alright, without further ado, I would like to continue our discussion about the topic. As we know, HIBAH is a new wealth distribution for Islamic financial planning. We already have a will, we already have sorakah, we already have faraid, but this term is very new and very current in financial planning nowadays, especially when we heard about from the agent of Takaful company. Uh, they never give up on promoting about the importance of HIBAH. What do HIBAH does to our family and beneficiary if we take Takaful with them, such as Prudential and others Takaful company. So without further ado, I would like to ask us our first panel. The first question is, what is the definition of HIBAH and the importance of it? Please, Saudara Setiawan.
Thank you, our moderator Nasrul Nazhan, for the question. And before we go to the issue that we will discuss in this session, I will tell you guys about the definition and importance of hibah. Hibah simply means gift. It is a gift of movable or immovable property that occur during the life of the settler. It refers to a voluntary contract that grants the ownership of property to any party made by the original owner when they are still alive without any consideration. In other words, hibah is the transfer of ownership of asset between living individual without asking anything in return. This contract shall not be made to glorify someone and should be met voluntarily. Hibah is given by reciting ijab and qabul. Hibah include gift and donation. In Islamic banking term, hibah is a Sharia contract that is used in the Islamic banking and financial framework in Malaysia. Usually, hibah is given by the bank to wadiah account holder who execute a contract or saving agreement with a Sharia compliant financial institution. For additional information, hibah, faraid, and will are made for almost the same purpose. However, hibah has its own importance. Firstly, hibah is not limited to any group of people. Hibah can be given to family or non-family members, Muslim or non-Muslim, adult or minors. Next, the amount of hibah that is wished to be given is not limited. This is different from will, where the asset given in a will cannot exceed one third of inheritance. If it exceeds one third of inheritance, other years agreement must be seeking. Lastly, under hibah, the settler can choose to whom and the amount they want to give the hibah. This is due to the every person need are different. That's all from me, and I will pass back to the moderator to continue our session.
Okay, thank you, Saudara Iwan. As we already know what is the definition, what is the importance of practicing the hibah itself. So, the big question is, we know how important it is to practicing hibah, especially for Muslim. But the country today are facing a large problem in settling down the unclaimed wealth that cannot be settled down by the current financial management tools that, as reported by Bank Negara Malaysia, there for 2020 there are amounted of 70 billion ringgit Malaysia of unclaimed wealth. So I would like to ask Saudara Hadi, our second panel, what is the issue in practicing hibah in the society? Please, Saudara Hadi.
Thanks to Mr. Moderator. As we know, Malaysia has permitted the practice of hibah into two ways. Firstly, for the assets wealth management, and secondly, for the Islamic banking products and services. as a supporting financial instrument. With regards to the first application, HIBAH has long been applied and recognized as a means to distribute Muslim assets after his death. The case of Kia versus Som was found to be the first case that recorded the application of HIBAH in 1950s. In this case, the issue of HIBAH was raised by the disputed party in relation to the distribution of Muslim Malays asset among the blood relationship, such as between father and son, husband and wife, grandfather and grandson, and so forth. In reality, there are many court cases disputing the validity of HIBAH between family members, which is also referred to as classical HIBAH. It is observed that the application of HIBAH was merely a form of distributing the assets between the family members, and that was made in accordance with the Muslim law of administration in Malaysia. The second type of HIBAH can be referred to as the modern concept of HIBAH, and it is applied as an Islamic financial supporting instrument for Islamic banking and takaful products. As offered by Islamic financial institutions. The HIBAH is also known as commercial HIBAH due to its function and purpose as a financial instrument in the Islamic financial system. In general, the practice of HIBAH as a financial instrument has been permitted by the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia by virtue of the Bank Negara Malaysia Policy Document on HIBAH, which comes into effect on 31st July 2018. In pursuant to the policy, the act of giving HIBAH is always subject to the Islamic financial institutions on discretion, but must be based on strict conditions specified by Sharia requirements. Currently, it is observed that a HIBAH can be applied together with the other contracts which are being offered at the banking and financial institutions such as Al-Bay, Al-Ijarah, Al-Rahnu, Al-Sharikah, Al-Qard and Al-Wadiyah. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Saudara Hadi. Alright, we know that the first issue of practicing hibah in the society is about the legislation. But I would like to move on to the third question about the hibah. To Saudara Saiful, do we have any other issue in practicing hibah beside than the legislation issue? Please, Saudara Saiful.
Thanks to the moderator for that question. The issue is Muslim society in Malaysia have lack of awareness about hibah is because exposure about hibah still weak, especially in medium to spread news about function and benefit of hibah. So the community's knowledge about hibah is very limited. This leads to the ignorance of the community must be started immediately. Then Muslim society lack of knowledge, especially about Islamic banking and its product. This occur the unknown about hibah as a method of transferring ownership of an asset to someone without payment. Attitude of ignorance of some people that think hibah is small matters because they do not have knowledge about it. Only people that are more religious have awareness about Islamic products. The fact is that hibah is something that must be worked on. Issues of help of technology nowadays must be used to spread information and awareness about hibah. Lastly, responsibility of related agencies and government for enhancing its Islamic banking products to the public view. lack attention of government and agencies to give education, especially for Muslim society, lead to lack and ignorance of the Muslim community must be started immediately. Then Muslim society lack of knowledge, especially about Islamic banking and its product. This occur the unknown about hibah as a method of transferring ownership of an asset to someone without payment. Attitude of ignorance of some people that think hibah is small matters because they do not have knowledge about it. Only people that are more religious have awareness about Islamic products. The fact is that hibah is something that must be worked on. Issues of help of technology nowadays must be used to spread information and awareness about hibah. Lastly, responsibility of related agencies and government for enhancing its Islamic banking products to the public views. Lack attention of government and agencies to give education, especially for Muslim society, lead to lack and ignorance of Muslim about Islamic finance system. In the future, it will create Muslim society that do not have knowledge and understanding about Islamic banking, especially its various products such as hibah. If nowadays hibah is looked as an important product to Muslim society, and how with others product in the future, it will be forgotten one by one its function if no action is taken to educate people about it. And that's all from me. I pass to the moderator.
Thank you, Saudara Saiful. We know that the second issue about practicing hibah is the lack of awareness in practicing them and the exposure of the Muslim society in practicing hibah. So for the fourth question, I would like to ask Saudara Afiq, what do the other reason or the other convincing reason in order to practicing hibah? Because we know the first issue, there are legislation already been taken care of. The second issue about awareness, we spread the awareness, we use the technology. So what is the other reason in convincing the society to practicing the hibah? Please, Saudara Afiq.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Mr. Nasrul, as our moderator for today. Firstly, how to answer the question, a donor can grant hibah to anyone he desires during his lifetime, unlike faraid and wasiyah. As we all know, the faraid system governs the distribution of a deceased person's property to his or her heir, and with a specified part going to someone who deserves it. Furthermore, hibah is more flexible than the other wealth management tools. The flexibility of hibah can also be seen by the fact that hibah can be given also to non-heirs, since faraid does not allow any portion of to this category of people. For example, by making hibah, especially if we have adopted children or foster child, it will be a wise way in managing our wealth. This is due to the fact that no matter how much we love and care our adopted children, and no matter how long they have been staying with us, the fact stays that adopted children cannot inherit our wealth by the way of faraid. Thus, making a hibah would be a smarter way for people who desire to apportion some of their wealth or properties to their beloved adopted children, as well as to ensure that their well-being and welfare are taken care upon the former's death. Secondly, as mentioned before, the apportionment of hibah is unlimited in nature. Unlike faraid, of which the share to each recipient is fixed and is regulated by the Holy Quran, and wasiyah, which generally can be made limited to 1/3 of the net estate of the deceased. The apportionment of hibah is unlimited and it is not restricted to any particular amount. By doing hibah, even though it is optional in Islam, it can help reduce the unclaimed assets. With hibah, a Muslim can ensure that the beneficiaries or non-beneficiaries will get their own share without worrying about the chance of disagreement among them. And that is why we should choose hibah over to other wealth management tools. That's all for me. Thank you. Pass it back to Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Saudara Afiq, for the other reason to convincing society in practicing the HIBAH. All right, for the last question, for conclusion for this discussion, I would like to ask Saudara Adib. Early of the discussion, we already have the issue and we already have the solution towards the issue. So, in addition, we also have the opportunity, the challenges in practicing the HIBAH in today's planning management. So, what can be concluded during this discussion about HIBAH itself? Please, Saudara Adi.
Okay, thank you, our moderator, for giving me this opportunity to talk about HIBAH. Basically, HIBAH is considerable as one of effective approaches to replace ownership or possession in a positive way because it could be determined as an act of volunteering giving a gift, which what the real definition of HIBAH actually means. The credibility of HIBAH could be seen by the impact of the procedure applied as it enhanced the external effect of the progress of replacing possession and implementing the value of committing good deeds by appreciating people around. The objective of HIBAH is to ensure the custody of a wealth is still under guard and any replacement will be given with the intention of the owner. Moreover, HIBAH promotes the value of helping one another due to the distribution that could be given to anyone. Furthermore, people could experience a variety of advantages from the application of HIBAH, such as it is way much cheaper than other products, and this will ease the consumer process to apply HIBAH as their main approach without the need of agitate thinking or financial priority. Next, HIBAH is not limited to certain stuff. For instance, property like houses or land could also be transferred to present as a gift. The other benefit of HIBAH probably to the owner itself, as the transfer could only be continued after the settler was dead. Any fraud or dishonesty could be avoided and the property will remain safe and completely belong to the settler. I would say that in conclusion, HIBAH plays an enormous role in the society directly and indirectly, and HIBAH turns out to be a compulsory component to be utilized especially by the financial institution. That's all from me. I pass it back to our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Saudara Adib. So the conclusion or to wrap up this discussion, we hope that at the end of the discussion about HIBAH, we can help others to gain knowledge about what the HIBAH itself and help the society to expose themselves towards practicing HIBAH. So that's all from us. Thank you.